Sailors save a drowning fox. What happens next will leave you speechless. The salty tang of the Pacific Ocean filled the air as the Seafarer, a sturdy fishing vessel, cut through the waves off the rugged coast of Oregon. The rhythmic chug of the engine, the creak of the wooden deck, and the cries of seagulls overhead formed a familiar symphony for Captain Ben and his two-person crew. Captain Ben, a weathered man with eyes as deep and blue as the ocean he navigated, had spent a lifetime on these waters. His hands, roughened by years of hauling nets and battling storms, held the helm with a steady confidence, his knowledge of the sea ingrained in his very being. Beside him stood Mark, a young man with a mop of unruly brown hair and an eager spirit, his muscles straining as he pulled in the heavy fishing nets. Mark, new to the seafarer and the rugged life of a fisherman, was eager to learn the ropes, his youthful energy a welcome addition to the seasoned crew. Emily, a woman of quiet strength and sharp wit, manned the radio and kept a watchful eye on the radar, her fingers nimble as they navigated the complex instruments. Emily, with her calm demeanor and sharp intellect, was the balancing force on the Seafarer, her presence a calming influence on the sometimes turbulent waters of the fishing life. The Seafarer, their home away from home, was a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of those who braved the unpredictable nature of the sea. Its weathered hull bore the scars of countless storms, its nets heavy with the bounty of the ocean, its deck a stage for the daily dramas of life at sea. This day, however, held an unexpected encounter, a twist of fate that would challenge their skills, test their compassion, and forever alter their perception of the delicate balance between humanity and the wild creatures that shared their world. As they hauled in their nets, their faces etched with the exertion of their labor, a tangled form emerged from the depths, its struggles muffled by the weight of the net, its cries barely audible above the roar of the waves. Mark, his eyes widening in surprise, pointed towards the struggling creature, his voice filled with concern. "Captain, look!" Captain Ben, his gaze following Mark's pointed finger, felt a pang of sympathy for the creature ensnared in their net. It was a young fox, its reddish-brown fur matted with seawater, its eyes wide with fear, its struggles growing weaker with each passing moment. "Emily, cut the engine," Captain Ben barked, his voice firm but laced with concern. Emily, her reflexes honed by years of experience, immediately shut down the engine, the sudden silence amplifying the cries of the distressed fox. "Mark, help me get that net on board," Captain Ben commanded, his movements swift and decisive. Together, they carefully hauled the net onto the deck, their hands gently untangling the frightened fox, their voices soothing and reassuring. The fox, its body trembling with exhaustion and fear, looked at them with wide, pleading eyes, its whimpers echoing across the deck. Captain Ben, his heart touched by the creature's vulnerability, gently lifted the fox, its small body light in his calloused hands. He carried it to the cabin, his voice a low rumble of comfort. "Don't worry, little fella," he said, his words carrying a warmth that belied his gruff exterior. "We'll take care of you." Emily, her compassion ignited, fetched a blanket and a bowl of fresh water. She gently wrapped the fox in the warm blanket, its shivering subsiding as it felt the comforting touch. Mark, his eyes filled with admiration for his captain's compassion, watched as the fox lapped at the water, its thirst quenched, its fear gradually replaced by a cautious curiosity. The crew of the Seafarer, their hearts touched by the unexpected encounter, had embarked on a mission of mercy, their compassion extending beyond the boundaries of their human world, their connection to the creatures of the sea now encompassing a creature of the land, a small, frightened fox that had found refuge in their care. The fox, nestled in the warmth of the blanket, gradually calmed, its trembling subsiding, its breathing becoming more regular. Captain Ben, his weathered face softened by concern, examined the creature, his experienced hands gently exploring its small body, searching for any signs of injury. He found no broken bones or open wounds, But the fox was clearly exhausted and dehydrated, its ordeal having taken a toll on its fragile frame. He decided to keep it on board for a few days, allowing it to recover its strength before releasing it back into the wild. Emily, her nurturing instincts taking over, prepared a makeshift bed for the fox in a corner of the cabin. She lined a crate with soft blankets and placed a bowl of fresh water nearby. She then ventured into the galley, returning with a plate of scraps from their dinner, offering the tempting morsels to their unexpected guest. The fox, its appetite piqued by the enticing aroma, cautiously approached the plate, its nose twitching, its eyes wary. It took a tentative bite, its teeth sinking into the succulent fish, its hunger overcoming its fear. Mark, his youthful enthusiasm ignited by the presence of the fox, watched with fascination as the creature devoured the food, its tail wagging gently, its eyes reflecting a growing sense of security. "What are we going to call him?" Mark asked, his voice filled with excitement. Captain Ben, his gaze fixed on the fox, pondered for a moment. "How about Lucky?" he suggested, a hint of a smile touching his lips. "Seems fitting, considering the circumstances." Emily and Mark nodded in agreement, the name resonating with the sense of gratitude they felt for the fox's survival. Lucky, his belly full and his body warmed by the cozy blankets, curled up in his makeshift bed, his eyes slowly closing, his breathing becoming deep and regular. The crew, their hearts warmed by the presence of their unlikely passenger, resumed their duties, their routine now punctuated by the occasional glance towards the sleeping fox. The seafarer, its usual rhythm now infused with a touch of unexpected warmth, continued its journey along the Oregon coast, its crew bound not only by their shared profession but also by their compassion for a creature that had found refuge in their care. Days turned into nights, the rhythmic sway of the vessel lulling Lucky into a sense of security. He would awaken to the sounds of the crew preparing for their daily tasks, his tail wagging gently as he greeted them with a soft whimper. He would follow them around the deck, his curious nose sniffing at the unfamiliar scents, his eyes wide with wonder as he observed their routines. He would watch as they hauled in the nets, his excitement growing with each catch, his playful barks echoing across the deck. He would bask in the warmth of the sun on the deck, his fur gleaming in the golden light, his eyes closed in contentment. He would curl up beside Captain Ben at the helm, his soft fur a comforting presence against the rough fabric of the captain's coat. The crew, their initial surprise at having a fox on board gradually replaced by a deep affection, embraced Lucky as a member of their team. They shared their meals with him, offering him choice morsels of fish and scraps from their galley. They played with him on the deck, their laughter mingling with his playful barks. They even fashioned a makeshift collar for him, a length of rope adorned with a small bell, so they could always hear his whereabouts and ensure his safety on board the vessel. Lucky, in turn, responded with an unwavering loyalty and affection that touched their hearts. He would greet them with enthusiastic tail wags and playful nips at their hands. He would curl up beside them during their rest periods, his presence a comforting warmth in the sometimes lonely confines of the seafarer. He became their mascot, their furry companion, their link to the wild beauty of the coast they navigated, a reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and the natural world. And as the seafarer continued its journey, its crew and their unlikely passenger forged a bond that would forever alter their lives, their hearts forever touched by the compassion they had shown and the loyalty they had received in return. The days at sea turned into weeks, the seafarer becoming a floating haven for both the crew and their furry companion. Lucky, now fully recovered from his ordeal, thrived in his new environment, his playful antics and unwavering loyalty bringing a sense of joy and camaraderie to the fishing vessel. He had become an integral part of their daily routine, his presence a comforting constant amidst the unpredictable nature of the sea. He would greet them with enthusiastic tail wags each morning, his eager anticipation for their daily adventures palpable. He would perch on the bow of the boat, his keen eyes scanning the horizon, his nose twitching at the salty air, his senses attuned to the rhythm of the waves. He would follow the crew as they hauled in the nets, his excitement growing with each catch, his playful barks echoing across the deck. He would bask in the warmth of the sun, his fur gleaming like burnished copper, his eyes closed in contentment. He would curl up beside Captain Ben at the helm, his soft fur a comforting presence against the rough fabric of the captain's coat. The crew, their hearts warmed by Lucky's unwavering loyalty and playful spirit, doted on him with a tenderness that belied their rough exteriors. They shared their meals with him, offering him choice morsels of fish and scraps from their galley. They fashioned toys for him from scraps of rope and buoys, their laughter echoing across the deck as Lucky chased his makeshift playthings. They even taught him a few tricks, their voices filled with amusement as Lucky, with a surprising aptitude for learning, mastered the commands sit, stay, and fetch with an eagerness that delighted them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of fiery orange and deep purple, Captain Ben sat at the helm, his gaze fixed on the endless expanse of the ocean. Lucky, curled up beside him, his head resting on the captain's leg, seemed to sense the contemplative mood. "You know, Lucky," Captain Ben said, his voice a low rumble in the stillness, "you've brought a lot of joy to this old boat. Never thought I'd see the day I'd be sharing my quarters with a fox." He chuckled softly, his hand gently stroking Lucky's fur. "But I wouldn't trade it for the world. You're a good companion, Lucky, loyal, intelligent, and full of spirit." Lucky, as if understanding his words, nuzzled closer to Captain Ben, his soft whimper a testament to the bond they had forged. Mark and Emily, witnessing the tender exchange, smiled knowingly. They had witnessed the transformation in their captain, the softening of his rough edges, the warmth that had crept into his eyes, the gentle touch that had replaced his gruff demeanor. Lucky, their unlikely passenger, had become a catalyst for change, a reminder of the simple joys of companionship, the unwavering loyalty that transcended species, the connection to the natural world that had brought them all together on this floating haven. As the stars twinkled in the night sky, their light reflected in the calm waters, the seafarer continued its journey, its crew and their furry companion bound by a shared experience, their hearts forever touched by the compassion they had shown and the loyalty they had received in return. The idyllic days at sea were shattered by the sudden arrival of a storm, its fury unleashed with a ferocity that tested the limits of both man and nature. The sky, once a canvas of serene blues and gentle clouds, transformed into a menacing spectacle of swirling grays and ominous blacks. The wind, once a playful companion, now howled like a banshee, whipping the waves into a frenzy, its icy breath chilling the very bones of the seafarer and its crew. The sea, once a gentle cradle, now bucked and heaved like a wild stallion, its waves crashing against the hull with a thunderous roar. Captain Ben, his weathered face etched with concern, gripped the helm with a steely determination, his eyes scanning the horizon, his senses attuned to the unpredictable rhythm of the storm. He barked orders to Mark and Emily, their voices barely audible above the howling wind and crashing waves. "Mark, secure the nets. Emily, batten down the hatches." Mark, his youthful enthusiasm now replaced by a grim determination, scrambled across the deck, his movements hampered by the violent pitching of the vessel. He secured the nets, their heavy ropes straining against the relentless force of the wind. Emily, her calm demeanor unwavering despite the chaos, secured the hatches, her nimble fingers reinforcing the seals, her eyes constantly monitoring the radar, her voice relaying updates to Captain Ben. Lucky, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, retreated to the safety of the cabin, his tail tucked between his legs, his eyes wide with fear. He huddled in his makeshift bed, the rhythmic swaying of the vessel now a terrifying lullaby. The storm raged for hours, its fury relentless, its power testing the limits of the seafarer and its crew. The waves crashed over the deck, their icy spray stinging their faces, their relentless pounding threatening to engulf the vessel. The wind howled through the rigging, its mournful cries echoing the fear that gnawed at their hearts. The sky, a canvas of swirling darkness, offered no respite, its ominous glow a constant reminder of the storm's unrelenting power. Captain Ben, his hands firmly gripping the helm, his eyes fixed on the raging sea, fought to maintain control of the seafarer. His experience and determination their only weapons against the wrath of nature. Mark and Emily, their faces pale with fear, clung to the railings, their bodies braced against the violent pitching of the vessel, their prayers whispered amidst the chaos. Lucky, his small body trembling with fear, whimpered softly, his cries a plea for comfort, his instincts urging him to seek shelter from the storm's fury. The seafarer, its sturdy frame groaning under the relentless assault, battled the elements, its fate hanging in the balance. Its crew and their furry companion united in a desperate struggle for survival. As the storm raged, the seafarer became a battleground between the resilience of human spirit and the raw power of nature. Captain Ben, his weathered face etched with determination, wrestled with the helm, his muscles straining against the relentless force of the wind, his eyes fixed on the churning sea, searching for a path through the chaos. Mark, his youthful bravado replaced by a grim resolve, battled the waves that crashed over the deck, his body drenched, his hands raw from securing loose equipment. He fought to maintain his footing, his every movement a test of balance and strength against the violent pitching of the vessel. Emily, her calm demeanor a beacon in the storm's fury, monitored the radar, her voice steady as she relayed information to Captain Ben, her fingers navigating the instruments with a practiced ease that belied the turmoil surrounding them. Lucky, huddled in the cabin, his small body trembling with fear, whimpered softly, his cries a counterpoint to the storm's roar. He sought refuge under a bunk, his instincts urging him to seek shelter from the chaos that raged above. The seafarer, its wooden frame groaning under the relentless assault, battled the elements with a tenacity that mirrored the spirit of its crew. The waves crashed over the deck, their icy spray stinging their faces, their relentless pounding threatening to breach the hull. The wind howled through the rigging, its mournful cries a symphony of destruction, its icy breath chilling them to the bone. The sky, a canvas of swirling darkness, offered no respite, its ominous glow a constant reminder of the storm's unrelenting power. Hours blurred into an eternity, the storm's fury showing no signs of abating. The crew, exhausted and battered, clung to the hope of survival, their determination fueled by their love for the sea, their loyalty to each other, and the presence of their furry companion, Lucky, whose vulnerability mirrored their own. Captain Ben, his strength waning but his spirit unbroken, wrestled with the helm, his knuckles white, his eyes bloodshot, his every move a testament to his years of experience and his unwavering commitment to his crew and their vessel. Mark, his youthful energy tested to its limits, fought back the despair that threatened to consume him. He clung to the mast, his body battered, his spirit bruised, but his resolve unwavering. Emily, her calm facade cracking under the strain, continued to monitor the storm, her voice betraying a hint of fear as she relayed the latest readings to Captain Ben. Lucky, his whimpers now replaced by a quiet whimpering, huddled deeper under the bunk, his small body seeking solace in the darkness, his instincts urging him to conserve his energy, to await the storm's passing. The seafarer, its hull battered, its sails ripped, its mast groaning under the strain, remained afloat, a testament to its sturdy construction and the unwavering spirit of its crew. It was a battle of wills, a test of resilience, a dance with death in the heart of the raging storm. As the storm reached its crescendo, a rogue wave, towering over the seafarer like a watery behemoth, crashed onto the deck, his force sweeping Mark off his feet. He cried out in alarm, his body tossed about like a rag doll in the churning water, his grip on the railing loosening with each violent surge. Captain Ben, witnessing the unfolding disaster, roared in defiance, his voice barely audible above the storm's fury. He lunged towards Mark, his hand outstretched, his eyes filled with a desperate determination to save his young crew member. Emily, her heart pounding in her chest, scrambled across the deck, her movements hampered by the treacherous footing, her voice joining Captain Ben's in a desperate cry for Mark to hold on. But the sea, relentless and unforgiving, showed no mercy. Another wave crashed over the deck, its force tearing Mark from his grasp, his body disappearing into the churning abyss. Captain Ben, his face contorted in anguish, lunged towards the railing, his hand reaching out for the empty space where Mark had just been. He roared in defiance, his voice a primal cry against the cruel hand of fate. Emily, her eyes filled with horror, clung to the mast, her body trembling with fear and helplessness. She watched in despair as Mark's form, tossed about like a leaf in a hurricane, was swallowed by the raging sea. Lucky, awakened by the commotion and the chilling fear that gripped the crew, emerged from his hiding place, his small body trembling, his eyes wide with a primal understanding of the unfolding tragedy. He watched as Captain Ben, his face etched with despair, clung to the railing, his gaze fixed on the churning waters where Mark had disappeared. He saw the tears streaming down Emily's face, her body racked with sobs, her cries echoing the captain's anguish. Lucky, his instincts honed by generations of survival in the wild, sensed the depth of their despair, the weight of their loss. He felt a surge of empathy, a connection to these humans who had shown him kindness, who had welcomed him into their world, who had become his unlikely family. He knew he had to do something, to offer comfort, to provide a glimmer of hope in the face of overwhelming despair. He approached Captain Ben, his small body pressing against the captain's leg, his soft whimpers a plea for attention, a distraction from the overwhelming grief. Captain Ben, his senses numbed by the loss of his crew member, barely registered Lucky's presence. He continued to stare at the raging sea, his mind replaying the horrifying scene, his heart shattered by the cruel twist of fate. Lucky, his determination growing, nudged Captain Ben's hand with his snout, his whimpers becoming more insistent, his eyes pleading for understanding. He then turned and ran towards the stern of the boat, his small form disappearing into the darkness. Captain Ben, his attention momentarily diverted by Lucky's insistent nudging, followed the fox, his curiosity piqued by the creature's unusual behavior. He reached the stern, his eyes widening in surprise as he saw Lucky standing at the edge of the deck, his gaze fixed on a faint light flickering in the distance. It was a distress flare, a faint beacon of hope amidst the storm's fury. Mark, his body battered but his spirit unbroken, had managed to cling to a piece of wreckage, his desperate cry for help now a faint glimmer in the vast expanse of the raging sea. Captain Ben, his heart leaping with a renewed surge of hope, grabbed the flare gun and fired a shot into the sky, its brilliant red light illuminating the darkness, a beacon of hope cutting through the storm's despair. He then rushed to the helm, his hands gripping the wheel with a renewed determination, his eyes fixed on the distant light, his heart pounding with the possibility of rescuing his young crew member. Emily, her spirits lifted by the sight of the flare, joined Captain Ben at the helm, her voice steady as she relayed directions, her fingers navigating the instruments with a practiced ease that belied the turmoil within her. The Seafarer, its battered hull now a vessel of hope, turned towards the distant light, its engine roaring in defiance of the storm, its crew united in a desperate race against time to save their lost companion. The Seafarer, battered but defiant, cut through the raging waves, its course guided by the faint beacon of Mark's distress flare. Captain Ben, his weathered face etched with a mix of determination and anxiety, steered the vessel with a steady hand, his eyes fixed on the flickering light, his heart pounding with the hope of reaching his young crew member in time. Emily, her calm demeanor masking a deep fear, relayed directions to Captain Ben, her voice steady as she navigated the treacherous waters, her fingers dancing across the instruments with a practiced ease that belied the turmoil within her.
Lucky.
His small body trembling but his spirit unwavering, stood beside Captain Ben. His keen eyes fixed on the distant light, his senses attuned to the faint cries carried on the wind. He had played a crucial role in their desperate search, his instincts guiding them towards their lost companion. The storm, though still raging, seemed to have lost some of its ferocity, as if acknowledging the resilience of the human spirit and the unwavering bond between man and beast. The waves, though still formidable, were less chaotic, their rhythm less violent, their fury tempered by a glimmer of hope. The wind, though still howling, carried a hint of encouragement, its mournful cries now laced with a whisper of possibility. The sky, though still dark, held a promise of dawn, its ominous glow replaced by a faint glimmer of light on the horizon. As they drew closer to the source of the flare, their hearts pounded with anticipation. They scanned the churning waters, their eyes searching for any sign of Mark, their hopes rising with each passing moment. And then they saw him. Mark, his body battered and bruised, clung to a piece of wreckage, his face pale with exhaustion and fear, his voice hoarse from crying for help. Captain Ben, his heart filled with relief, maneuvered the seafarer closer, his skilled hands guiding the vessel through the treacherous waves, his voice booming across the water, offering reassurance to his young crew member, Emily, her eyes filled with tears of joy, threw a life preserver towards Mark, her voice filled with encouragement, her heart soaring with the prospect of his rescue. Mark, his strength waning but his spirit buoyed by the sight of his rescuers, grabbed the life preserver, his fingers clinging to it with a desperate grip. Captain Ben, with Emily's assistance, hauled Mark on board, his body limp with exhaustion, his eyes filled with gratitude and relief. They wrapped him in warm blankets, their voices soothing and reassuring, their hearts filled with a profound sense of gratitude for his survival. Lucky, his tail wagging excitedly, greeted Mark with joyful barks and playful licks, his small body radiating a warmth that mirrored the joy that filled the cabin. The seafarer, its mission of mercy accomplished, turned its bow towards home, its battered hull now a vessel of triumph, its crew reunited, their bonds strengthened by the shared experience, their hearts forever touched by the fox who had played a crucial role in their rescue. The storm, as if exhausted by its own fury, gradually subsided, its wrath replaced by an eerie calm. The waves, though still rolling, lost their menacing edge, their rhythm now a gentle sway that lulled the seafarer and its weary crew towards the safety of the harbor. The wind, its mournful cries now a distant whisper, carried the scent of rain-soaked earth and the promise of a new dawn. The sky, its darkness gradually giving way to the first hints of light, painted the horizon in hues of hope and renewal. But the serenity of the returning calm was overshadowed by a somber reality. Mark, though rescued from the clutches of the sea, lay unconscious in the cabin, his body battered and bruised, his breathing shallow and labored. Captain Ben, his weathered face etched with worry, knelt beside Mark, his calloused hand gently resting on the young man's forehead, his eyes searching for any sign of consciousness, his heart heavy with the fear of losing another crew member. Emily, her own exhaustion masked by her concern for Mark, monitored his vital signs, her voice a soft murmur as she relayed updates to Captain Ben, her fingers tracing the faint pulse that fluttered beneath her touch. Lucky, his playful antics now replaced by a quiet vigilance, sat beside Mark, his keen eyes fixed on the young man's face, his small body radiating a warmth that seemed to offer comfort and support. The seafarer, its battered hull now a vessel of uncertainty, limped towards the harbor, its engine chugging with a weary determination, its crew united in their concern for their injured companion, their hearts heavy with the weight of the unknown. As they approached the harbor, a Coast Guard vessel intercepted them, its flashing lights cutting through the morning mist, its presence a beacon of hope and assistance. A medical team boarded the seafarer, their practiced hands gently assessing Mark's condition, their voices calm and reassuring. They determined that Mark had suffered a severe concussion and possible internal injuries, requiring immediate hospitalization. He was carefully transferred to the Coast Guard vessel, his unconscious form carried away with the promise of medical attention and the hope of recovery. Captain Ben and Emily, their hearts heavy with worry, watched as the Coast Guard vessel disappeared into the mist, its departure leaving a void on the seafarer, a silence that echoed the uncertainty of Mark's fate. They returned to the harbor, their arrival met with a mix of relief and concern from the other fishermen who had witnessed the storm's fury and feared for their safety. They recounted their harrowing experience, their voices filled with gratitude for their survival, their words laced with worry for their injured crew member. Lucky, his presence a comforting constant amidst the turmoil, followed Captain Ben and Emily as they disembarked, his small form a shadow of loyalty and support. They made their way to the hospital, their steps heavy with anxiety, their hearts filled with a silent prayer for Mark's recovery. They waited anxiously for news, their every thought consumed by the young man who had become a part of their seafaring family. Hours turned into an agonizing wait, the sterile environment of the hospital a stark contrast to the familiar rhythm of the sea. Finally, a doctor emerged, his face etched with a mix of concern and cautious optimism. He informed them that Mark had suffered a severe concussion and a fractured rib, but his condition was stable. He would require surgery and a lengthy recovery, but his chances of survival were good. Captain Ben and Emily, their hearts filled with a wave of relief, thanked the doctor profusely, their voices trembling with emotion. They were granted a brief visit with Mark, his unconscious form lying peacefully in the hospital bed, his bandaged head a testament to the storm's fury. They sat beside him, their hands gently holding his, their voices whispering words of encouragement and love. Lucky, his small form curled up at the foot of the bed, watched over Mark with a quiet vigilance, his presence a symbol of the unwavering loyalty and companionship that had become a beacon in the storm's aftermath. The days that followed were a blend of anxiety and hope. Captain Ben and Emily divided their time between the hospital and the seafarer, their hearts tied to Mark's recovery and the familiar rhythm of their seafaring life. They visited Mark daily, their presence a comforting constant in the sterile environment of the hospital room. They would read to him, recounting tales of their adventures at sea, sharing news from the harbor, and whispering words of encouragement and affection. Lucky, their loyal companion, accompanied them on their visits, his presence a source of comfort for both Mark and the crew. He would curl up at the foot of Mark's bed, his soft fur a comforting presence, his gentle snores a soothing lullaby in the quiet room. Mark, his body slowly healing, remained unconscious for several days, his mind trapped in a realm of shadows and silence. But the presence of his captain, Emily, and Lucky seemed to penetrate the darkness, their voices weaving a tapestry of familiarity and love that gently nudged him towards consciousness. One afternoon, as Captain Ben sat beside Mark's bed, recounting a humorous tale of a misadventure with a rogue octopus, a faint smile touched Mark's lips. His eyelids fluttered open. His gaze, though unfocused, met Captain Ben's with a glimmer of recognition. "Captain?" he whispered, his voice hoarse and weak. Captain Ben, his heart leaping with joy, grasped Mark's hand, his voice thick with emotion. "Mark, you're awake." Emily, her eyes filled with tears of relief, rushed to Mark's side, her voice joining Captain Ben's in a chorus of joy and gratitude. Lucky, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, wagged his tail excitedly, his barks echoing through the room, his presence a celebration of Mark's return to consciousness. The doctor was summoned, his examination confirming that Mark was on the mend, his recovery progressing steadily. The news brought a wave of relief to the crew and the tight-knit community of the harbor, their collective prayers answered, their shared concern transformed into a celebration of life and resilience. Mark's recovery was slow but steady. He spent the next few weeks in the hospital, undergoing physiotherapy, regaining his strength, and piecing together the fragmented memories of the storm and his dramatic rescue. He learned of Lucky's crucial role in his survival, the fox's instincts guiding Captain Ben to the distress flare, his presence a beacon of hope in the midst of despair. He felt a surge of gratitude for the creature he had helped rescue, their bond now strengthened by a shared experience of vulnerability and resilience. He thanked Captain Ben and Emily profusely, his voice filled with emotion, his words inadequate to express the depth of his gratitude for their unwavering loyalty and their desperate efforts to save him. He looked at Lucky, his eyes filled with affection, his hand gently stroking the fox's fur. "Thank you, Lucky," he whispered, his voice hoarse but sincere. "You saved my life." Lucky, his tail wagging excitedly, licked Mark's hand, his gesture a testament to the bond they shared, a connection forged in the crucible of a shared ordeal, a friendship that transcended the boundaries of species. As Mark's health improved, the crew of the Seafarer eagerly anticipated his return. They prepared the vessel for his homecoming, their hearts filled with joy, their spirits lifted by the prospect of their reunited team. The day Mark was discharged from the hospital was a celebration for the entire harbor community. The Seafarer, adorned with colorful flags and banners, stood proudly at the dock, its crew beaming with joy, their voices echoing across the water as they welcomed Mark back to their seafaring family. Lucky, his tail wagging furiously, greeted Mark with enthusiastic barks and playful leaps, his presence a symbol of the resilience and unwavering loyalty that had brought them all together. As the Seafarer set sail once again, its crew reunited, their hearts filled with gratitude and a renewed appreciation for the precious gift of life. They knew that their journey would forever be marked by the storm, the rescue, and the fox who had become a symbol of hope and the enduring power of connection. Life on board the Seafarer resumed its familiar rhythm, the days filled with the demanding tasks of fishing, the nights punctuated by the gentle rocking of the waves and the camaraderie of the crew. But the storm, the rescue, and the presence of Lucky had left an indelible mark on their hearts, their perspectives forever altered by the shared experience. Captain Ben, his weathered face etched with a deeper wisdom, navigated the waters with a renewed respect for the unpredictable nature of the sea. He had faced the storm's fury, witnessed the fragility of life, and experienced the profound bond that connected him to his crew and their unlikely companion. He had learned the value of compassion, the strength of loyalty, and the importance of cherishing the moments of grace that punctuated the often turbulent journey of life. Mark, his youthful exuberance tempered by the near-death experience, returned to his duties with a newfound appreciation for the fragility of life and the unwavering support of his seafaring family. He had faced his own mortality, felt the icy grip of fear, and experienced the depths of despair. But he had also witnessed the unwavering loyalty of his captain and Emily, the selfless courage of Lucky, and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. He had learned the true meaning of camaraderie, the power of connection, and the importance of cherishing the bonds that held them together. Emily, her calm demeanor now infused with a deeper empathy, continued her duties with a renewed sense of purpose. She had witnessed the raw power of nature, the fragility of human existence, and the unwavering loyalty of a creature from the wild. She had learned the value of resilience, the strength of compassion, and the importance of embracing the unexpected connections that enriched their lives. Lucky, his presence a constant reminder of the storm's drama and the rescue that had forged an unbreakable bond, roamed the deck with a confident swagger, his tail wagging with a joyful abandon. He had faced his fears, witnessed the courage of his human companions, and played a crucial role in their survival. He had learned the true meaning of belonging, the warmth of companionship, and the unwavering loyalty that transcended the boundaries of species. The Seafarer, its battered hull bearing the scars of the storm, now sailed with a renewed spirit, its presence on the vast expanse of the ocean, a symbol of resilience, compassion, and the enduring power of connection. The crew, their bond strengthened by the shared ordeal, faced the challenges of their seafaring life with a deeper understanding, their hearts filled with gratitude for the lessons learned, their spirits forever touched by the fox who had become a part of their family. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of fiery orange and deep purple, the seafarer sailed towards the harbor, its silhouette a beacon of hope against the twilight sky. The crew, their faces etched with the satisfaction of a day's work and the warmth of shared companionship, gathered on the deck, their voices mingling with the gentle lapping of the waves.
Lucky,
His fur gleaming in the fading light, sat beside Captain Ben, his head resting on the captain's leg, his eyes reflecting the deep bond they shared, his presence a testament to the enduring power of connection, the resilience of the human spirit, and the unwavering loyalty that had brought them all together on this extraordinary journey. The story of the sailors who saved a drowning fox, a tale of compassion, courage, and the enduring power of connection, would forever be etched in the annals of the seafarer, its echoes carried on the whispers of the wind, its legacy a testament to the bond between humanity and the wild creatures that shared their world.